Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive. Rayanpur was a quiet town where nothing surprising ever happened. The streets were small, the people knew each other well, and every day felt almost the same as the one before. But one morning, everything changed. Before the sun was fully up, a strange painting appeared on the wall of the old cinema, huge, bright, and impossible to ignore. No one knew who painted it. No one saw anything during the night. And when the people of Rayanpur gathered to look at it, they all realized something even stranger. Every person saw something different in the same painting. Some saw hope. Some saw fear. Some saw memories they thought they had forgotten. The painting did not move, but it changed inside every pair of eyes that looked at it. And from that moment, the quiet town of Rayanpur would never be the same again. The town of Rayanpur woke up to something unusual. In the early morning, when the streets were still quiet and the shops still closed, a strange painting appeared on the wall of the old cinema. The cinema was no longer used and its wall was rough, cracked, and dirty. But now, as if by magic, the entire wall was covered with a huge painting that no one had seen before. No paint cans were nearby, no ladders, no footprints. Nothing to show who had created it during the night. The first person to notice it was a 12-year-old boy named Sami. He was delivering milk for his uncle, holding a metal crate in each hand. When he turned the corner, he stopped so quickly that the bottles inside clanked loudly together. He stared at the wall, unable to move. The painting looked alive to him. It was full of strong lines, bright and dark colors, and strange shapes that blended into each other. But what he saw most clearly was a boy who looked a little like him. The boy in the painting stood on a road, one foot lifted, as if he was about to take a brave step into a bright golden sky. Behind him was a shadowy shape that looked like a narrow alley. Sami whispered to himself, "It's me. It's like it knows me." A sleepy voice behind him said, "Like what knows you?" Sami turned and saw Noor, a girl from his school. She carried a bag with books and chewed gum slowly as she walked. Her hair was still messy from sleep. Sami pointed at the wall. "Look, the boy. He looks just like me, and he's walking away. I've been thinking about leaving this town one day. This painting, it feels like it knows." Noor frowned and stepped closer. Her eyes moved over the painting slowly. "What boy?" Sami blinked. "What do you mean, what boy?" "He's right there in the middle." Noor shook her head. "I don't see a boy. I see a woman. She's wearing a long dress, and she's holding a suitcase. Can't you tell? Look at the shape of her dress and her hair. See those dark curves? That's her." Sami stared again. Now the shapes did not look so clear anymore, but that's an alley behind her, right? He asked. "No," Noor said. "That's a door she just closed behind her. She's walking away from it." They both stepped closer, their faces almost touching the wall. The more they stared, the more confused they became. The shapes seemed to change as they looked. Soon the morning shopkeepers arrived. Mr. Farid, the old barber, came out holding his cutting chair in one hand. He set it down slowly, eyes fixed on the wall. "Incredible," he whispered. "Look at that river." Sami and Noor exchanged confused glances. "What river?" They both said. Mr. Farid pointed with a trembling finger. "There, that's Silver Line. It looks exactly like the river near my childhood home. I spent half my life beside it." Noor crossed her arms. "That is not a river. It's a road." The old man insisted. "It is a river. I would know." A police car drove by and slowed down. Officer Hamid rolled down his window and called, "What's all this? Why are you all standing around?" People pointed at the wall. The officer parked his car and walked over. He stared at the painting without saying a word for a long time. In the painting, he did not see a boy or a woman or a river. He saw a crowd of faces. Some faces were clear, some fading away, some with hands reaching out. They reminded him of long nights full of emergencies, of angry voices, of fear. His jaw tightened. "This doesn't feel right," he said quietly. "This looks dangerous." "It's beautiful," Noor said. "It's hopeful," Sami added. But Officer Hamid kept staring, his shoulders tense. You two should get to school." More people gathered. Word spread fast, and soon the street was full of curious neighbors. A shopkeeper who missed his hometown saw mountains in the painting. A woman who had recently lost her husband saw a figure walking away from her. A child claimed the painting showed a superhero flying through a storm. Everyone saw something different. Arguments began. Some thought the painting was a masterpiece. Some thought it was nonsense. Some were scared by it. Some were comforted by it by the time the sun was high. The wall had become the center of the town's attention. A tea seller moved his stall closer. Two young men recorded reactions for their social media pages, telling people to say what they saw. A group of older men arrived and frowned deeply. "This painting is chaotic," one of them said. "The shapes have no order. It will confuse people. It may even be wrong." A teacher nearby disagreed. "It is art. Art makes people think." "It is ugly," another man said. "Ugliness is not art." Nur whispered to Sami, "Why is everyone shouting?" "Because they think their version is the only true one," Sami said. Soon a reporter from a news channel arrived with a camera crew. She smiled widely, pleased to find such chaos. She began recording a report about the mysterious artwork that appeared overnight with no explanation. Officer Himayat returned with his senior, Inspector Qureshi. The inspector spoke seriously. All security cameras near the cinema had turned off between midnight and 2 in the morning. When they came back on, the wall was already painted. Someone knew how to avoid the cameras, he said. "Maybe they are a ghost," someone joked. "Or a hacker," said a young man. But the inspector didn't laugh. He said the painting might need to be removed because it was on public property. People argued louder. Some shouted that the painting must stay. Others insisted it must be painted over. In the shade across the street, an art teacher named Layla observed everything quietly. She had left school with a headache and was walking home when she saw the painting. Now she watched the shapes with careful eyes. Something about the painting felt familiar. She noticed a certain way the colors blended. A corner that was lighter than the rest. A swift, emotional stroke of the brush. "I know this style," she thought. But whose? A dull memory pushed inside her mind, wanting to wake up. The day grew louder, hotter, more confused. Everyone in Ryanpur had something to say, and none of them agreed. The painting remained still on the wall, but it did not stay the same, because everyone who looked at it saw something different. By afternoon, the painting had become the busiest place in Rayonpur. People from nearby streets came to see it. Some walked quickly, as if they were afraid it would disappear. Others stood for a long time with their arms crossed, staring at it like it was a puzzle only they could solve. 2 young men with phones were filming the crowd. They asked people to speak to the camera. "Tell us what you see." "Just the first thing," one of them said. An old woman in a blue shawl stepped forward. She pointed at the wall with her thin hand. "I see my husband's hands," she said. "He passed away last year. But these lines, they look exactly like his hands when he was fixing the roof." A teenage boy with headphones said, "I see a concert. Those shapes look like lights and smoke." "It makes me want to play music," a tired teacher said. "I see a classroom. I see my students taking their first steps into the world." Then a small group of religious men arrived. They studied the painting with serious faces. "This has no order," one said. "It is too wild. People will get the wrong ideas from this. It may even mislead them." Others immediately disagreed. "It is art," said the tired teacher. "Art does not mislead. It opens the mind." "Oh, it is confusing," another man said. "If it were proper art, everyone would see the same thing." Voices rose again. People argued, pointed fingers, shook heads. Someone shouted, "It should be removed." Another shouted back, "It should be protected." Sami and Nur stood together, watching the chaos. Sami sighed. "Why is everyone fighting?" he asked. "Because they want their own picture to be the right one," Nur replied. A small white car arrived and stopped near the crowd. A woman wearing smart clothes stepped out. She had a news channel badge clipped to her shirt. A cameraman followed her with a large camera on his shoulder. "Perfect," she said with a bright smile. This will make a wonderful story. She walked toward the wall and began reporting. People tried to stand behind her to get into the video. The camera buzzed and clicked as the crowd shifted. More police arrived. Officer Hamid returned with Inspector Qureshi, who looked tired already, even though the day was far from over. Inspector Qureshi cleared his throat and spoke loudly. We checked the security cameras. Every nearby camera stopped working between midnight and 2 in the morning. They came back on only after the painting was finished. People murmured in surprise. So who did it? Someone asked. We don't know, the inspector said. We will continue checking. But this is illegal. No one can paint public property without permission, but it's beautiful. Someone protested. It brings trouble, another argued. The owner of the cinema scratched his head and stepped forward. It is my wall, he said. But I didn't ask for this. Shouldn't I decide? You should be thankful. A man yelled. Your old cinema is famous again. Or cursed, someone added. The noise rose again, like waves crashing on rocks. Everyone argued, some for the painting and some against it. Noor leaned toward Sami. Do you still see the boy in the painting? Sami stared at the wall. I see him. But now I see other things too. A river. A door. And maybe a crowd of people. Me too, Noor said. I see the woman still, but now she looks like she is running. Yesterday she looked calm. Neither of them could explain it. The painting seemed to change each time someone argued about it. Or maybe their own thoughts changed it. Across the street, Layla, the art teacher, finally stepped closer. Her headache had faded. Her mind felt clearer than it had all morning. She watched the crowd, then studied the painting again. Something about the painting bothered her, but not in a bad way. It scratched at her memory. A particular curve here, a flash of color there, a fast, emotional hand. A messy corner that somehow still made sense. She whispered to herself, who paints like this? She had taught many students in the small-town school. Some copied exactly what she showed them. Some lost interest quickly. But there had been one. One who drew differently. One who scribbled ideas fast, like his hands could not keep up with his mind. Her breath caught. I know this. She whispered in her memory. She saw a young boy sitting in the last row of her classroom. His name was Arshad. He never followed the textbook. His sketches were wild but full of feeling. Other teachers scolded him and told him he would never be good at anything. His parents wanted him to work at the mechanic shop. And after a while, he stopped coming to school. Layla looked back at the painting. The same wild strokes. The same sharp emotions hidden behind color. I think this is his work, she whispered. But before she could speak louder, a sudden argument broke out near the front of the crowd. The religious men were arguing with the teacher again. Their voices rose. The teacher said art opened hearts. One of the religious men shouted that disorder was dangerous. People began pushing. 2 shopkeepers quickly stepped between them. Officer Hamid raised his hands. Please stop, he said. Calm down. It's just a painting. It's not just a painting, Noor said softly. Sami nodded. It's like everyone is seeing their secrets. The reporter stepped closer to the inspector and asked, Do you think the painting is dangerous? The inspector breathed deeply before answering. It is causing arguments. We must control the situation. Then someone shouted, Paint over it before it causes trouble. Someone else yelled, No. Leave it. The shouting grew louder and louder. People raised their hands, pointing at the wall, pointing at the police, even pointing at each other in the middle of the noise. No one noticed a slim person slip away from the crowd who'd pulled low. Walking quickly down a side road, Layla saw the figure move and frowned. Something in her heart recognized that walk. The slight bend of the shoulders, the fast steps. The way the person kept their face turned away, she whispered, Is that you? Her memory kept knocking, trying to be clearer, trying to bring back the face of the boy who once drew storms on paper. The day continued with noise, questions, confusion, and arguments. The painting stayed on the wall, still and silent. But to everyone who looked at it, something new appeared every time, and slowly. without anyone fully understanding it yet. The painting was beginning to change not only what people saw, but how they saw each other. The next morning arrived with more noise than usual in Rayanpur. People woke up early and walked toward the old cinema before even brushing their hair or finishing their breakfast. By the time the sun rose fully, a huge crowd was already standing in front of the painting. Some people whispered. Some argued. Some just stared with confused eyes. Even children, who usually grew bored quickly, stood quietly as if the painting was telling them a story only they could hear. Sami arrived carrying his milk crates. He stopped in the same place as the day before. Noor joined him a few minutes later, out of breath because she had run from her house. "It looks different today," she said, squinting up at the wall. Sami nodded slowly. "Yesterday the colors felt bright. Today they feel heavier." The painting had not changed at all. The lines were the same. The strokes were the same. But something in the air made it feel different. Maybe it was because people around them were thinking too many things at once. Soon, the town council members arrived. Some were serious men with round stomachs. Others were strict women who always spoke about rules. They pushed through the crowd and formed a small circle to discuss what should be done. One man said the painting made the town look modern and interesting. A woman said it made the town look rebellious and unsafe. Another argued that people were visiting the area more than ever, which was good for business. Someone else shouted that too much excitement in a quiet town was never good. They argued for a long time. Nothing was decided. The cinema owner stood nearby, wiping sweat from his forehead. "All this because of my old wall," he muttered. By midday, the crowd grew restless. Everyone had an opinion to share. Some people wanted the painting removed immediately. Others wanted it protected behind glass. A few suggested calling an art expert from the city to explain what the painting meant. But no one had actually asked the most important question: who had painted it? Layla, the art teacher, stepped forward at last. She had spent the night thinking, searching her memories, and letting the truth rise to the top. Her heart felt steady now. She looked toward the crowd and then at the painting. She spoke softly at first, but people nearby turned to listen. Soon, everyone grew quiet. "I think I know who made this," she said. Dozens of eyes turned to her. The reporter hurried forward, pushing the microphone closer. "Who?" someone asked. "Was it a famous artist?" Layla shook her head. "No," she said. "It was someone from our own town. Someone I used to teach." People leaned forward. "A boy named Arshad." The crowd murmured. Some recognized the name, others didn't. The reporter asked, "Are you sure? Can you prove it?" "No," Layla said honestly. "But I can feel it. The way the colors blend. The way the lines jump like they're alive. The small things he used to do when he drew. It has his voice in it." "Where is he?" someone asked. Layla sighed. "I don't know. He left school 2 years ago." Few people nodded. They remembered the boy who worked at the mechanic shop sometimes, who drew on scraps of paper during lunch breaks. The inspector stepped forward. "If he did this, he broke the law," he said. "He also created something powerful," Layla replied. "Look around you. The whole town is talking about it." "That is the problem," the inspector said, glancing at the arguing crowd. But before more could be said, voices rose again. People on one side shouted that the painting was dangerous. Others shouted that it was beautiful. Some said it made them angry. Others said it made them feel brave. Everyone saw something different. Later that evening, when most of the crowd finally went home, the street became quiet again. Only a few people passed by, and the police officers stayed nearby but looked tired. The sky grew dark. Streetlights flickered on. Then a slim young man walked slowly out of the shadows. He wore a cap pulled low, and his clothes were stained with dried paint. His eyes looked tired but hopeful at the same time. It was Arshad. He stopped in front of the painting and looked up at it. He knew every stroke, every corner, every color. He knew where his hand had trembled, where his heart had felt heavy, and where he had painted, without breathing because his feelings were too strong. He didn't know if he should be proud or scared. He lifted his hand as if to touch the wall, and lowered it. His eyes filled with so many emotions that he couldn't choose just one. Then he heard footsteps. He turned quickly. "It's only me," gentle voice said. Layla stepped into the light. She held a thermos in her hand. Arshad froze. He had not expected her to find him. He looked down at the ground. "I thought you might come," Layla said kindly. Artists always return to their work. He didn't answer at first. He felt embarrassed, nervous, and strangely relieved all at once. "Did everyone really argue so much?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "People argued. People cried. People remembered things. Your painting made them look inside themselves." "I didn't mean to cause trouble," he whispered. "I know," she replied. "You meant to speak. You painted your feelings." They spoke loudly. He finally looked at her. "Are they going to erase it?" "I don't know," she said softly. "They will decide soon. Some want it to stay. Some want it gone." "Then I made nothing," he said. Layla stepped closer and shook her head. "Look," she pointed to small chalk marks on the ground near the wall. People had written messages, some messy, some neat. "It made me less afraid," one message said. "It reminded me of home," said another. "It helped me understand myself," said a third. "You didn't make nothing," Layla said. "You made something that touched many hearts." Arshad stared at the messages. His eyes softened. "I just painted what I felt inside," he whispered. "And others saw what they felt inside," Layla said. "That is art." For the first time that day, Arshad smiled. Layla handed him a cup of warm tea from the thermos. "Tomorrow," she said gently, "come with me. We will talk to the council. We will explain. You should tell them what this painting means to you." "And if they want to punish me?" he asked. "Then we will face it," she said. "But you will not face it alone." They stood quietly together in front of the wall. The painting glowed softly in the streetlight, full of many stories at once. To Arshad, it was his heart. To Layla, it was a student's voice finally heard. To the town, it was a mirror that changed with every pair of eyes that looked into it. The next morning, someone noticed a new mark on the bottom corner of the wall. A tiny white eye painted quietly in the night. Children pointed at it and whispered, "What does it mean?" Some said it meant the artist was watching. Some said it meant the painting was watching. Others said it meant the painting belonged to everyone now. And once again, everyone saw something different. In the end, the painting stayed on the old cinema wall, and the town of Ryanpur slowly learned to live with its mystery. People still argued sometimes, but now they also listened. They understood that the same picture could hold many meanings, and that every person carried their own story inside. Arshad continued to paint, no longer hiding his talent, and Layla guided him with quiet pride. Sami and Noor visited the wall often, each time seeing something new. The painting never changed its colors, yet it changed the people who looked at it. And in that small town, once silent and ordinary, everyone finally understood that it was okay beautiful, even that everyone saw something different. For watching more amazing videos like this, subscribe our channel Crime Loom.